First News with Keeler in the morning on WIBX and WIBX950.com.
She is a council person on the, notice I was, is it councilwoman, council, what do you prefer, Celeste?
Call me council person, call me councilwoman, just don't call me late for dinner.
Just don't, okay. So council girl is out of the question. We will not do that.
Council girl, now you're pushing your luck.
Okay.
But I'll take yo.
Yo, council ma'am.
Yeah. That's funny. Celeste Friend is a Utica City Council person. And on this MOA, right now the council and the mayor are getting some heat over the parking garage. A lot of people in the county wondering, how do you walk away from this? What's your take on it, Celeste?
Here's my take. I mean, I've got a bunch of takes, I guess. One thing is that, that everybody who lives in Utica is an Oneida County taxpayer. So we're all contributing to the garage.
Sure.
Just like people in New Hartford. And yet somehow people in the city are also supposed to contribute as city taxpayers. So we're expected to contribute twice. And I don't think that that's right. I also don't see, I can't think of any instance in history when another municipality has had a county asset built in it and that municipality was expected to help pay for it. So Rome didn't help pay for the airport out at Griffith, right? Or
that was
didn't help pay for the 911 call center.
Right.
And yet suddenly, simply because this county asset is being built in Utica, Utica is being expected to pay for it. So that doesn't sit right with me. It also doesn't sit right with me as a very basic principle that the taxpayers have already paid for parking garages in the city, and they need repair. And I think the idea that we would turn away from those parking garages and use money to build something brand new and shiny when the things that we've already paid for need to be invested in strikes me as just really irresponsible to the taxpayers.
Part of the plan for the hospital parking garage. So you don't think there should be a hospital parking garage?
I'm not convinced. I'll tell you. I was the one council person several months back, at a public hearing that the county legislature held, and I asked very clearly, "Can you show me the data that you need this parking garage, that you need it to be as big as it is, that you can't accommodate with surface lots?" etc. And cricket. I haven't heard.
I'll answer that for you. I'll be the first data point for you. I don't want to walk. You don't have to go any other hospital you go to. You park in a garage. Like when I go to Syracuse, I park in a garage. They give you the instructions. You park in the garage. You walk through. You never go back outside. Okay. And when I'm going in for cancer surgery, I don't want to be walking through the snow. And I have to tell you, St. E's was a rough experience. You try to use that parking garage, which is a bit, certainly run down. When I went to Boston at Dana Farber, is it that? Yeah,
it is Dana Farber. Right? Yep.
We went there. Valet parking, and they park the car for you. It's about customer service. So I cannot tell you what the surveys say. But I can tell you right now, for me and my wife, a parking garage is essential. And that's just my opinion.
See the evidence from the county that it needs to be.
I understand
as
that.
big as they are planning it.
Now here's
because it's going to go to help. It's going to go to help offset parking needs in the city of Utica
as well,
for things that have been invested in the city of Utica that the city hasn't paid for.
And the other part of this, Celeste, is that the Kennedy parking garage was going to be a part of this project and part of the upgrade.
But the only way that it can be part of it is if Utica goes ahead and invests money in the Kennedy parking garage. It needs work. The Washington Street garage needs work. And both those garages are very close to the hospital.
Why wait until a hospital project to do those updates? Why were the repairs made prior to the hospital project being announced or in the last 3 to 5 years?
We couldn't afford it because I think we couldn't afford it.
Right, just like the mayor's raise, we couldn't afford it. Oh boy.
I don't think it's that, people were putting off that in order to use it as an excuse or what have you.
Yeah.
I think we simply couldn't have afforded it. Repairing parking garages turns out to be really, really expensive. I'm sure you understand that. So I think we simply couldn't afford it. But I don't think it's responsible to build something new when you've got something, that needs repair. That's just it's not how any homeowner would operate.
Let me let me change this a little bit. So there was an MOA, right? And
yes, before my time, right?
Okay, but the agreement was signed. This is the intention. Why sign that at 60-40? Why would you sign that? And then, because what it does is it kills. How are you ever going to sign another? How is the city of Utica, anyone going to trust the city of Utica ever again when they sign an agreement of intent when you know they could just back out of it? I mean, I realize it's not a legal binding document. I understand that. But most people abide by, when they sign that, the reason it exists is to show this is our intention and we are moving forward. To blame the pandemic is ridiculous. As for that $3 million, I feel that everybody's saying it was contributed. Not so, because that really came from the state. And Pacini went in after it was decided that you guys were pulling out and said, no, I want all of that money because they just backed out on me. I need to fill a gap here. So I don't know that you can call that city money. Just my take on that.
Yeah, I see your point. I see you coming from.
Yeah.
As far as the MOA, I just can't speak to it. I wasn't on the council at the time. I mean, I see your point, but that's really a question for the mayor about,
But I think it's
having made that MOA, how do you respond now?
But it is part of the responsibility of the Common Council that when an agreement has been made to another municipality and you've signed an intent, a document of intent, that you honor that in order to retain your credibility going forward. I think that is part of your responsibility as a current council member.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I see where you're coming from.
So,
yeah. So I just, it always rubs me the wrong way to build something shiny and new when you've got other things that the taxpayers have already invested in that need money, that need to be repaired. I think that's just, it's not how we would, and I know that, the analogy between like how you run your home and your household budget and how you run a city, those analogies, can be strained at times. But nonetheless, if I wanted to put a brand new addition on my house, I wouldn't do it if the roof was leaking. That would be really irresponsible, right?
Well, then why are we building? Why are we building Harbor Point? This argument, I just don't buy. I'm sorry. Why build Harbor Point when we could put more money into Proctor
or an
Park?
art space multi-unit apartment complex?
Why did we improve the auditorium when the Stanley needs to be fixed? Why these arguments don't work. I mean, why are we building a new hospital downtown? Why are we building the Nexus Center? Why you're investing down there? And the reality is the parking garage is a key part of that complex. So it is important. And when the city backed away, you knew what the county was going to do, right? Didn't you know? Pacini's got to go forward with it because that's got to be a part of this project.
Well, although it's still, as I said before, it's not obvious to me that parking garage needs to be as big as they're planning it for that hospital. What else are they planning on using the parking garage for?
Parking for Comets games and the Nexus Center and other things that happened in Utica, is my understanding.
So it's not just about the hospital. It's not simply a hospital project.
No. I think we're arguing about nothing right now. I mean, the size, the architecture, the all of that stuff should have been argued long ago. I mean, wasn't Jim Brock arguing that long ago? And so now they're going to be arguing. The argument now is to be able to get the property, so there'll be an eminent domain situation, and to pay for it. I think that the horse is, how's the phrase go? Give me a good cliche. Throw one at me.
The cat's out of the barn, the horse is out of the barn?
The horse is out of the barn.
We're closing the doors after the horse is out of the barn.
Okay, I like that, Celeste. Listen, Celeste, I like I do like your vigor, and I love conversing with you. I just don't agree with you on this one.
Right. Always happy to come on, and always happy to talk to people who don't agree with me.
Yeah.
Right? So, where would we be if we never talked to people who don't agree with us?
Well, we'd be America.
Celeste,
that's where we are right now.
It's probably one of the deepest flaws in America right now is the hard time people have talking to people who don't agree with them.
Yeah, it is.
Be part of reversing the course on that.
I agree.
Listen, before we let you go, let me ask you. There's something the mayor referenced in his. Oh, and you could check it out, by the way. The story, the photo I used was when they announced the URI funding. It's Cuomo, Palmieri, and Pacini in the picture. You can find it on our website. But Celeste, my question for you: the mayor's response. He said the mayor points to $8 million in infrastructure improvements to ensure that the hospital project can come to fruition. We talked about the $3 million in URI funding. There's also a reference to, I believe, another $3 million, bringing that total up to $6 million. So if you go the $6 million there and the $8 million for infrastructure improvements he mentions, has the city already invested? Well, let's take the URI out. Has the city already invested $11 million on its own for work around the hospital?
I don't know in terms of actual dollars spent. I'm not going to try to speak to that because I'll make a fool of myself. But, of course, we have invested a lot. So there's been sewer upgrades. We've given up streets. We've given up, we've taken properties off the tax roll, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, we all know this.
I want to
how do the numbers add up? I'm not going to try to speak to that
at
the moment.
Before we let you go, before I was trying to find a crickets sound effect, and I for some reason my program isn't opening. I have the reason I found out is because I've labeled it Palmieri sound effect. So
let's go to the mayor now.
I gotta say, you guys have put this mayor in a position where you gave him his raise, you gave him the term limits that he needed for retirement. He's got everything he needs now, and he refuses to talk. We haven't had him on the air. How long has it been? It's been months since we've talked to him. I mean, you guys got to come out and speak about this topic. Where's the mayor right now?
Right. I don't know. I can't speak for the mayor, but I do want to remind people that I voted against giving the mayor that raise.
Okay, fair enough.
So it came out it was right at the beginning of the pandemic, and I thought it was irresponsible in that moment.
Wrong time.
To be spending more money anywhere when we didn't really know.
I think you guys agree 100% on that issue.
We are in agreement, Celeste.
100%.
I'm so happy that I can end this conversation.
We're
on that high note.
ending on on agreement.
Common ground. That's the key.
Celeste, you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Celeste.
Okay, thanks, gentlemen. Bye.
Celeste Friend from the Common Council.
A comment here on the app. I'm a healthcare consultant who currently works in New Orleans. It has a parking garage, the hospital he works at. I've traveled and worked in many healthcare organizations around the country. As a consultant, every one of them has a parking garage for patients, families, and visitors. Comparing old parking garages to building a new one for a new hospital makes no sense.
It doesn't. And I have to tell you that this healthcare world, and I learned this when I went through my own situation, it is unbelievably competitive. You get the fortunate luck of getting cancer or something difficult, and all of a sudden it's like it gets out somehow. I don't know how it gets out. You start getting people are soliciting you, and just watch TV commercials. Every other one is another cancer center or another medical facility. The competition is so great right now, and that's why going to Dana-Farber, there was I don't think it should go to this extent, but in the lobby when you walked in, there was a piano player playing a baby grand piano. There was they're parking your car for you. They're giving you everything was so easy. The flow was so. I mean, they're competing for your business. It's really quite interesting.
I think the agreement did call for the city of Rome was going to pick up the tab on the piano player and the
they were
the valet service. Yeah, that was their contribution.
Was I wrong? Am I wrong in thinking though that there's also going to be use by other city properties for that parking garage? I mean, you go to a Syracuse Orange basketball or football game. Mm-hmm. There's the option to park in the upstate parking, a portion of the upstate parking garage there on that road.
Who does that benefit?
That would benefit the university and the city of Syracuse.
Well, technically, the county, right? The city would say that the county owns the auditorium.
Look, it can be used for dining. There are, I think it was the original proposal that they had sent out in 2017 that was agreed upon. I believe I'm going to do my best here. Was 1,550 spaces in this $40.5 million parking garage. 1,550 was the total number. Daily use, business hours was 1,100. 1,100 for the hospital and 400 for, Utica business. You go downtown for something or maybe Nexus or something like that.
You could choose to park in the garage.